here today with our digital event with Quilting Farmstead. Vicki Shrewsbury's here with us. I'm Jana Matthews.
I'm Melinda Romero.
And we're so excited to have you. Vicki, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, we're so excited to have you with us. We're so excited to have all your great, wonderful customers and anybody else in the Grace Company, viewers who've watched other events before. We're so happy to have you here. So we would love to know where you're all watching from. It looks like so far we've got Chris is watching us from Portland, Oregon. Thank you for watching, Chris. So happy to have you here.
Quite a ways from, wow.
From us and from Missouri. So let's see, who else is watching us today? We've got Jeanette from South Carolina. Welcome, Jeanette. So excited to have you here. We've got Beth Ann. She's watching from St. Louis, beautiful city.
We'll be flying into St. Louis here in
when we go to the
weeks.
Paducah convention. Let's see, we've got Mary from Georgia. Roxanne is from Kansas. We've got upstate New York, Pastry Queen. Jeannie from Mesquite. Vicki from Houston. So we got
people from just all over.
Yeah, we've got Dawn from Daytona Beach. Welcome,
Hopefully
Dawn.
it's warm.
Suzanne from Kansas City. Rosemary, Jacksonville, Florida. I just was in Florida last week, so let's see. Dawn from Minnesota, welcome. Oh my goodness, it's so great to have everybody here. Shirley's in Florida. Peggy's from Houghton, Louisiana. Welcome, Peggy. We have Janine from North Carolina.
You know,
Sally
Jana,
from
I want to interrupt.
Yes, interrupt.
We have one of our newest ambassadors. I saw the name pop up. Chris, is it Marcini?
Oh, Chris Marcini.
Chris Marcini,
welcome,
one
Chris.
of our new ambassadors. Welcome, Chris.
Oh, yeah,
Thanks
from
for
Portland.
joining.
Welcome, yeah. And then we've got, let's see who else we've got here. We have some on the other platform. We just want to make sure we're catching everybody. We've got North Dakota, or South Dakota. Sorry, I don't want to mix up the Dakotas. We have Barbara from Vermont, Alabama, Michigan. Wow. Karen from Kansas City. We've just got so many people. Oh, Dawn is heading into Missouri right now in 2 weeks. Excellent.
Awesome.
MK from Illinois. Oh, we've got our international with Canada. Suzanne's in Ontario.
You know, Jana, I love the quilting community. And whether we're here in the United States, whether we're in another country, that people have so much in common. They have a passion for quilting. And, you know, people are gracious, they're kind, they're accepting. I just love the community.
Yeah, and I love how everybody is so friendly, right? Like I'm on a couple of other sites for other interests, and sometimes things can get heated, but I feel like quilters are such rallying members, right? They do all that they can to make them feel welcome. If you make a mistake, it's like, oh, you can try harder, you can do things so much, you know, try again. What do you think,
Do it this
Vicki?
way, do it that way. And
Do you find that way with quilters?
Oh yeah, great people. They and they have different passions too, but we all do come together and share that love of quilting. Even though it stretches out into other little tangents like painting on fabrics or needle felting. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I love that quilting is such a great passionate thing, but it doesn't have to be the only passion you like and how you can integrate that, right? Because you can quilt any design, and so that helps you do your other passions into quilting, right? I've seen oceans and gardening and art and different things, and so it's such an amazing group. So first thing we want to do to get started is we're going to take a tour of Quilting Farmstead with Vicki. She's going to show us all around. We want to turn the time over to her, so we're just going to let her join and then we're going to remove ourselves and we'll come back on when you're all done. Okay, Vicki?
Sure. All right. I'm just heading outside so you can see the front of the building. Okay. This is Quilting Farmstead. We are in a rural area, so if it's try to use your Google Maps so you if you have any trouble finding us. And we have today there's some right out here on the road. We've got a trailer, an RV. We get a lot of travelers up I-35, Interstate I-35. And so here's what our front of our building looks like. A 1,600 square foot metal building with tons of quilting art supplies as well as the machines. So let's go inside and take a look around. Okay. So we have some shoppers. We've got lots of fabrics, lots of machines. We as long as it's not just the long arms and mid arms. There's lots of the threads for embroidery. We saw embroidery machines as well as sergers. So we have all kinds of specialty fabrics, tons of thread over here, and you'll see lots of quilts up on the walls as well. We're with the Highway 36 quilt shop hop and Missouri State shop hop as well. And we have notions. We have long arm supplies. I am a custom quilter. Love working off of the Cutie 21 and the QCT 5 software. I share a passion for, I call it 3 types of quilting, where you free motion, ruler work, and the QCT software, robotics or computerized, whatever you like to call it. But down here we have a lot of the accessories that go with the unique machines, lots of specialty feet, and in the Leoday rulers, we have a lot of the True Cut. There's a True Sharpener, if you haven't tried that out. So we can get any of the Grace items in here for you. If it's not in stock, then we can order it for you. We'll just walk around, look around the store. We have lots of books for the different types of quilting arts. I don't think she's wanted to see some of that. Hopefully I'm not going too fast to make you dizzy. But here we go. We like those t-shirt quilts too. There's that's actually my husband's quilt there that won some medals. He likes the paper piecing. Here's our big baby on the 12 foot, the unique 21 Elite. And it's on a 12-foot table. I have a little baby quilt on there today, but normally I have a lot larger quilts on there than that. Let's go back here in the classroom, and you can see where we have, anytime you want to come by for a demo to try out a Cutie machine, we always have at least 2 of them set up. Today we have the 21 and the 19. Sure. And right back here, we have the 19 on a Cutie frame. So if you don't have a lot of space, or if you just want to quilt for yourselves, this is a good one to get into. The Cutie or the hoop. I usually have the hoop frame back here, but it's sold and we delivered it the other day. So we've got the Cutie with a 19-inch. Look at all that quilting space that you can get in there. So much better than just a 6-inch strip that you can get off of a domestic machine. Plus, this has all the specials on it. It's the 19 Elite, so lots of good things on there. A really big screen, and you can. The good thing I don't know if you all hear much about is the one thing that I really like about the Grace Company is all their machines and frames. So you can always kind of upgrade on them, and so all their machines are compatible with all their frames, and the software is compatible with all their machines. And so that's a really good plus, I think. I have quilted off of the Cuniques for probably about 5 or 6 years now. Love them. They're great. They're great products. So if you're ever coming up north on I-35 through Lathrop, Missouri, stop by and see us. We're almost open almost every day. Go ahead and check out our calendar of events or the Google Maps. I keep those updated if you want to stop by and do a demo.
Thanks, Vicki. I loved all the comments coming through about the quilts. Melinda was like, look at that one, eye candy. That one's so good.
You know, I would love to go visit your store, Vicki.
Come
You
by
have
anytime.
so
We are
much,
halfway
a little
between
bit,
Kansas.
and again, so much of everything. I would probably get lost in there for at least a few hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the comment just now. Where did it go? It says from Brenda. She says, I think some multimillionaire needs to adopt us all and take us there, his treat.
Yes.
I forgot to
I think
show
that would
you
be
that.
great, Brenda. And then we could all get all the fun stuff going on.
I don't know if I'm.
So
Yeah.
at the bottom of the screen, we have how you can get a hold of Vicki at Quilting Farmstead. So quiltingfarmsteadllc.com is her website. It's a fantastic website. I really love it.
Very well put together.
Very well
and-
put together, and
yes.
shows all the amazing deals going on for the event today, any specials that are happening, so you can find them there. You can go visit her at 2511 Southeast Wilson Road, Lathrop, Missouri. And then the phone number 816-377-9062. So all the different ways to get a hold of Vicki at Quilting Farmstead. You have so many options in that area. So it doesn't matter where you are, you can get a hold of her and talk some fun quiltingness.
Yes, yes.
So the first thing before we get into our videos, we want to do our pre-registration giveaway. So this is a giveaway item. This is for everybody that registered ahead of time. So if you registered for the event and you had information, then you are part of this registration. So I'm gonna just show what we're giving away. It's our 10-foot luminous light bar.
You know what, Jana? I always say it doesn't matter if you're quilting, if you're sewing, if you're crafting, even doing puzzles. There's no such thing as too much light. And our luminous light bars, they're so bright. They're LED lights, but they're not, you know, bright in your face. You know, you can see the true color of what you're working with and on. They're amazing.
And they come with caster wheels, so you can either put the wheels on or you can do the leveling feet, so move it around to wherever is helpful. So it's the 10-foot version, which you can put up as 5 feet or 8 feet or 10 feet. Or if you have a 12-foot frame, you can purchase the 2-foot extension and make it 12 feet. So it's super versatile.
Yeah, so you know, I love giveaways. Giveaways is my favorite G word. So
So okay, we've done a random selection. We put it into a random generator to pick out our person of all the pre-registration. Now again, if you didn't get a chance to register for this event and you're watching us and you're thinking, oh no, don't worry, we're going to be doing some Plinko prizes later on. So don't worry about that. We're still going to get that option. So you know, hold on to your questions and any answers that we are asking our questions, you'll have a chance to win as well. But this is for pre-registration.
And I will say, Jana, whether if you are registered for today or if you missed the deadline and not registered, just keep an eye out for our next event with Quilting Farmstead. Make sure you register and again, you'll have a chance to win there as well.
Okay, so without further ado, we're going to give our award out for our 10-foot light bar. So shall we do a drum roll?
Yes.
I really love drum rolls. Drum rolls! And where did it go? Oh, there we go. Sharon
Aurora. I love it. Yay.
Congratulations, Sharon. We are so excited for you.
So how does Sharon claim her prize?
So we have your information. We'll be reaching out to you. For anybody else, you want to take this name down. This is Allegra at graceframe.com. She is our prize coordinator at the Grace Company, and so she will help us get that all set up and get that sent out to you, Sharon. So she'll be reaching out to you to get your email. She has your email, but she'll email you and get your physical address so we can get that shipped out to you.
Yes, congratulations, Sharon.
Yes. Okay, so we've got a fantastic day coming up. I'm going to pull Vicki back in. So we've got coming up, we've got some wonderful videos. We've got fundamentals of free motion quilting. This is a great instructional video from our head educator here, Carla Jerome. She talks about what you should do, some tips and techniques. I really learn, even though I've seen this video a couple of times, I learn something new every single time.
Yes, you and me both. Well, we're both kind
new
of
quilters,
newer
yeah.
quilters. But yeah, there's so many different techniques and so many options and so many if I do this or if I do that. There's so much information out there, tips and tricks. They're the best things, coming from experienced quilters. So I love Carla. I love this video.
And then right after that video, we're going to have a new video. It hasn't been seen by anybody else, only for Quilting Farmstead, first seeing it. It's Carla Jerome and Nathan Erznosnik. They're going to be talking about quilting on your own domestic machine, some of the good things you have with it, some of the tips and techniques, and then putting it on the Cutie frame. How does that go? What makes it easier? All that kind of stuff. Then we're going to come back, we'll do another giveaway, and we'll have some Q&A. So we will talk to you in just a little bit, okay?
Obviously, very hot.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. Today, I get to talk to you about something that I really enjoyed as a quilter, and that's free motion quilting. And I've done a lot of research, and I've been able to learn free motion quilting really on my own. Yes, there's some great quilters out there, and they have a lot of good advice, but a lot of new beginners don't know where to start or why it's important to do certain steps as you're free motion quilting. And they just bypass it because it becomes a little difficult, and they think that they're not artistic enough to do their own thing with the free motion quilting and drawing out designs. And so I just want to help you become more confident so that you are taking tips and techniques that I'm teaching to be able to go and give you the confidence and do your free motion quilting. So, doing my research, I had to think back of where I started, and I started quite a while ago. And so I have gotten better with my free motion quilting, and a lot of it comes from experience, and the way that you're able to sew across your quilt. Now, think back of when you first started sewing, or first started writing, or first started walking. You take baby steps, okay? And that's what we're going to talk about today, is the baby steps leading up to it. Now, when you start quilting, a lot of quilters think they want to be this fabulous quilter right out of the bat, and you're not, okay? Because the machine's a little smooth, and it's easy to make little wobbles in your designs. And even today, all the professional quilters are not perfect quilters. So allow yourself the learning curve. Just say, you know what? I've got to learn this, and know that it can be learned. I mean, we all have to start somewhere in the quilting process. And so the first place I want you to start is practicing. And I want you to think about getting a doodle notebook. This notebook will help you come as a resource. It helps you practice drawing your designs, and that practicing as you're doodling is so important because it helps your memory retention as you come to the quilting frame. It allows you to remember which directions you need to move or how you want to draw the design. This doodling part of quilting is extremely important, and something that if you're not doing, it's so much fun. If you're sitting in front of the TV or you're just sitting there talking on the phone, put your phone on speaker and start doodling and just practice your designs while you're talking, because then you're doing two things at once, and that even helps you even more because it helps you remember the direction that you're supposed to draw, but you're doing another exercise talking at the same time, so you're trying to focus on two different items, so it helps you to multitask. So those are great tips and tools. So if you have any free time, just sit down and doodle. no matter where you are. Even if you're in the car just riding along, listening to the radio, if you're the passenger, don't do it while you're driving, okay? But if you're the passenger, just doodle away. And a lot of our phones have pens that we can doodle as well. So start a doodle notebook. And start with easy designs. When we first started our penmanship and writing, we started out with easy, simple little things. And with a lined notebook, it helps you work on your proportions as well. So I have my little doodle notebook that has the lined papers in it. And as I started doodling, some of the first easy designs are just little waves and loops. And just start using the alphabet, the cursive alphabet, not regular letters, but the cursive alphabet is a great resource for designs in quilting. So this is a small case L and a little E. And I've just did 2 lines to show how I did the L, but I did the single distance between the 2 lines as the E. And I just, mastered that. So, and then another one is like a U. So it's a curve and an up, down, up, down, up, down. And like I said, the proportions on the lines really help you make it nice and even all the way across. So just to show you, and then as you're quilting, you can just do L's all the way across. Then you can add L and then an E, and you can do the U's. You can make them a little smaller, but then you can start adding elements to it. So you can do a U with a circle underneath, and then you curve over the top, do a circle again, and then you move around and you do your circle again. Then you'll add a circle at the bottom of your U, and then at the top of the U coming across the top. So the valley and hills. Let's call them valley and hills. So you'll add a circle on the valley, and then another circle on the hill. And so you'll just move across. And then, as you're working on your designs, what you'll do now is that we're just making the distance a little longer using my lines. So instead of just 1, I'm using 4. So I'm doing my little circle on the hill, and this will help you work with your meandering and learn how to stipple. So if you'll practice, and then practice changing the direction of how you quilt, that also helps your memory, and also change the position of the design on your quilt. So this is just upside down E's. And then I started doing upside down L's as well. So you can see that this would make a fun little element in a border or a sash sheet, doing the different directions. Now this is a capital L. It's just a nice loop coming back. And again, these lines help me keep my proportion of my design so that I have it proportionally correct. Now, it doesn't help with the distance, so if you're concerned about the distance in between, you could just measure going across like this and add little lines so that you can keep the distance correct and the circles correct. So there's lots of ways that you can practice your doodling. Now, this is a fun design as well. So this is just kind of a zigzag. It's so simple, but you wouldn't realize it. This is my start point right here. And I moved up at a diagonal to this line here. Okay, on my sheet of paper. So I went diagonal, then I went towards, if I was in front of it, it would have been the left, okay? So it's the right on me. So move to the left as you're sitting in front of it. And then you'll come back down to the diagonal and you'll move to the left again, and then you'll go back up, and you'll just keep doing that all the way across. So you have this little fun design. That's a fun one to practice. And so challenge you to practice something new and a little different. Then, as you're doodling, another fun thing in your doodle notebook to also help you learn how to fill in different shapes. So I'm just using simple squares for my shape. But you could use a hexagon or a triangle and try different things. So just draw them in your notebook and practice with little filler designs. So this isn't even complicated at all. It's just a design that I did in the valley and the hills. It's a little longer, but I just went across making them vertical, and then I came across and made them horizontal. So it just changes direction. And on a quilt, it's very pleasing to the eye to have the different directions because it draws your eyes different areas. So practice on that. Then notice that now I started in the corner with my valley and hills, and I went this direction. So now I probably leave these two blanks. So try different ways of quilting. You don't have to fill in every area, and sometimes that can become a little messy. And sometimes you need that little space that has nothing in it whatsoever, and that makes it more pleasing as you're looking at it. So sometimes when a quilt has too much on it, it's hard to notice and recognize all that beautiful quilting, and sometimes less is more. So just decide how you like to quilt and what you like. Doesn't matter what anybody else likes. If you like it, that's great. Okay, now the stippling. A lot of quilters think, wow, let me start with the stipple. Stippling is actually a little harder than you would think. So practice in your notebook and practice in little squares so you can get the puzzle movements down. And stippling is just curves like a puzzle piece and going in different directions to kind of make it look a little meandering across your page. So start in one corner. Don't lift your pencil, keep going. And you'll notice that where you get hung up in a corner, just make it a little smaller and then come out. All the puzzle pieces are not exactly the same little size. They have small ones and large ones. So it doesn't matter if you get caught in a little corner. Notice that I kind of did a little erasing. That some of them are a little smaller because I was getting closer to my corner right here. So I kind of got caught there, so I had to just make this a little smaller. So practice that. And you can even practice it with points or spirals. Now, this is a fun little spiral design. It teaches you the basic beginnings of a spiral because spirals are not that easy to start with. So what you'll do is you'll come in and bring it to a point and then come back out. And I just kind of made it a little popcorn flower. And then you'll just come out and make it to a point. Just practice, practice, practice. And practice this all over your page. You know what? The more you do it, the better you'll become. So another simple design, I just wanted to show you about the spirals since we did the little popcorn, is this is a closed loop spiral. You can notice that as I come into it, I've got it really close to the same loop and I echoed around it. This is an open spiral because they're not touching. This is a closed and this is open because this one here, I closed it because each of the spirals are touching the next one. And this is open because they're not even touching each other. So it's going to cover more area more quickly as you're quilting. This is going to take a little bit more time because it's a little denser and closer together. So just look at the proportions and what you like and how you want to quilt. Okay, and a couple other little tools that I think are valuable for you. As I was working on processes and ideas, start again. I want to remind you, if you're not confident with free motion quilting, start simple. You can make a beautiful quilt with simple, easy designs. This quilt right here, I wanted to show you. It's open spirals, but it kind of gives you that movement. So as we were looking at it, it looks more like tree. And also we added names in this because it made it fun. It's like when kids were smaller, I put their names in things so that they would look for it and it keeps them engaged and excited about what we're quilting. So I added Charlie's name here. Okay. Now right here for the background, I did some stippling. And then for my flag, notice that I did the waves back and forth. And how much fun that is. Simple design. And then I did my stars. We all know how to draw stars. You just add stars and little loops to keep them going. And that's really it. Those are really, and then on the house here, we just kind of did some views. But nothing complicated, but look how much fun the quilt is. And just from those simple, easy designs, boy, you can create beautiful quilts. And that's how we started out. It was just something simple. This is a really old quilt that I did a long time ago. Now, the quilt on the back wall is a little more complicated because I had more experience as I was quilting. Notice that in the sashing, I just did the loops. Simple, easy, but it's eye-catching. And in the center, I did the little X with some, it's a little feather X, if you want to call it. It's not really a wreath, but the back of the quilt is just as fun as the front of the quilt. So, and then I kind of took the feather design with the little circle that I used in the sashing and the square and added it to the border to keep it going. And the border was so easy to do. It's just a little paisley, a couple of them, and then a spiral. Nothing complicated, but I took some time and practiced before I started quilting. And I also positioned things off. My border, I sectioned it off to get my proportions correct. And your doodle notebook, as you're doodling and coming up with new ideas and new designs, is a great resource for you to look back on for your quilting. So the next thing I want you to do is get a piece of clear template plastic, okay? And you have a rougher side and a smoother side and a dry erase. And then this allows you to draw your designs on it, to see what designs you like. So I'm going to position this along my block here that I want to fill in. What I'm going to do is kind of section it off here. All right, that looks pretty good. So now I could start here in the corner, go like this. That kind of looks fun, a little different. And then you could just keep going. And then just keep going this way. So that's kind of fun and a little different. So you could do something like that. And then we could come down here to this smaller square right here. And then see what the loops look like. And you know what? Sometimes those mistakes are happy mistakes. See, I'm talking, doing what I'm telling you, and not. So just take this template plastic. It's a fun way to see what your design will look like and if it's what you want on your quilt. Then once you've done that, I would suggest drawing it on a piece of paper and then unthreading your needle. And then I'll just draw my design. And you're not sewing the paper to it or anything, you're just seeing what it looks like. And you could pin your paper to it, but just make sure that you have the movements down. It kind of looks cool on the paper too. There you go. That's kind of fun. So try that and pin it down and practice your tracing on the paper. There's a couple of different ways that you can use this, but you know, try these techniques and use them and practice your free motion quilting before you jump in and actually start quilting. It will help you become more confident in your abilities, and it'll allow you to remember how your designs work and which position you need to move your sewing machine to get to the next design. Really important. So let's thread our machine, and I'm just going to come down here and do my little loops right now. And you can see that I've just drawn on my fabric the design. Now, there are some really good markers out there that are water soluble that you can draw on your quilt, but I haven't found the best one yet. Once I do, I will let you know. But for right now, just use the chalk because I do know that it comes out. And don't use too dark of a chalk, just very lightly. Use a pencil as well. The simple little designs are the best way to start. I'm going all the way to the top. And just start moving across. And have fun while you're doing it. You know, learning can be a fun process. Because you could be excited about what you're learning and that it's new and different. I don't want you to be the type of quilter that feels like you have to stitch in the ditch all the time because that's what you're good at. I want you to try new things and new elements and add new ways of quilting. Try new things. Be different. One other thing I wanted to show you, it's kind of pleasing to the eye if you're changing from a large to a small, to start with a large and end with a large. And it just makes it more pleasing to the eye because then you think, oh, they ran out of room or something like that. So just make sure that you start with a large and end with a large, or if you're starting with a small, end with a small. It works a little nicer and it's more pleasing to the eye. Just a couple more things as you're quilting. Just a few thoughts that I want to bring to your attention is as you're quilting, even free motion quilting, getting your quilt on nice and straight really does help it turn out more even and beautiful. If you put your quilt on uneven, it's going to look a little uneven and a little sloppy. So as you're putting your quilt, use your cloth leaders or make sure that your edges are nice and straight. It just makes a lot of difference as you're quilting. And it keeps it from moving up your quilt at an angle or down. So make sure that you have a straight line going across your quilt and that your edges of your top and your bottom are nice and straight. And if it's a piece top, make sure that you're positioning your top where you want that strip or wherever you want that block to be. So if you want to spray baste as you're positioning it, you can. I do not like to baste. It's something that I just don't want to do. So I'm very aware because my backings are always piece of where I want that center, if I want it centered or if I want it off to the side. Then the other thing is as you're quilting, just recognize that there are different size throats of machine. I'm using a 19-inch machine, so I have quite a distance I can travel, and I could make a larger design, one big, huge design. If you have a smaller throat, then the size of your design is going to have to be smaller and in proportion that you can quilt it without hitting the back of the machine. So as you're quilting along, if you have a smaller throat, then you're going to hit the back of your machine and it can mess up your design. So make sure that you know how far you can quilt without hitting the back of your machine. So I like to, with my chalk, just mark. So I'm not going to mark it down here past the foot. You're going to want to mark it up here before it hits. So I know that that's how far I can travel without hitting the back of my machine. And then if I hit the back of my machine, it's going to mess up my design and cause me to have a straight line because I'm hitting the back of it. So make sure that you do your markings as you're quilting along and that you're tacking down the edges of your quilt. If you happen to sew off the edge of your quilt as you're coming back onto it, I'm just going to show you right down here. It can fold over the edge of it, but also it can get caught between the needle and the foot, and you can sew your quilt block down in your foot, and then you're just going to have to cut it out. Or be really careful as you're unpicking it right there. So notice that this is extremely important and a lot of, one that I learned the hard way. So learn from me. Okay. I do not like to unpick, but yet I made a big mess by not tacking down the edges of my quilt. And so ever since then, I've been very religious about tacking down the edges, even with free motion quilting. And even if you're quilting inside this area, it's a good rule of thumb to always tack down your quilt edges, because you never know if you're accidentally going to sew off the edge. So those are just a few rules and techniques, and I look forward to you joining me for part 2 of this, where I'm going to show you some accessories for free motion fundamentals that you can use to help ease you into that process. So join me next time, and please look at the spring fling, look at all the beautiful quilts that are there. If you have quilts, enter them, and join me again for our next Free Motion Fundamentals Part 2. Oh, God. But notice how much smoother I am with my pebbles.
Light,
yes.
easy to move.
Yes, so much easier.
Hey, Carla.
Hey, Nathan.
I'm excited to be here.
Me too.
You have a domestic machine, you have some fabric, you're going to get into quilting.
I'm going to attempt to get into
Love
quilting,
it.
yes.
Where are we going to begin?
We're going to set up our machine for free motion quilting. And what you'll need to do is change your foot, put your feed dogs down, and get your table. The feed dogs are what move your fabric through while you're piecing, and they tend to grab the fabric, so we want to put the feed dogs down. So we want a smooth surface to be able to manipulate the fabric and do our beautiful designs.
So now, Carla, I know we're going to be switching the foot. You
Yes.
mentioned
The darning foot, the quilting foot, or the embroidery foot, okay? It's a rounded or open toe for you to be able to move without it grabbing your fabric. It's not hard to change your feet. I'm just going to loosen it with my screwdriver and then undo the thumb screw and take it, the foot out. And I want to do it enough that I can slide my embroidery foot or darning foot on.
Great. Now we've got the right
Okay.
foot on there.
Yeah.
Now, Carla, here's the big part. We're going to go ahead and we're going to quilt.
Yeah, we're going to attempt to quilt. All right, so usually, there are several different ways. A lot of quilters will show how to quilt, and they have their own techniques, and they're really good at it. I have a struggle when I'm sewing a binding on a big, heavy quilt, that if it's hanging off to the side, it's going to pull away from me. So usually I like to bring it up and use some sort of system to kind of help me manage it. But that's one of the struggles that I have when I'm trying to free motion quilt, just using my machine and the table, is managing the fabric.
So we have the fabric set up.
Right, and you're going to see my challenges and how uncomfortable it is for me. Number one, I want to talk about the positioning. When you're free motion quilting and being able to be angled so your shoulders are nice and straight, you're not hunched over like this, we have a tendency to really get our faces in there. On this one, you're really multitasking. You're using your foot pedal to gauge your speed, so you have to think about the pressure, and then you're also moving the fabric at the same time to get your stitch length. So I'm going to place my hands just like this. I'm going to pull at my thread. You want to make sure that you put your presser foot down, but I'm pushing down because that's what I feel like I need to do. But really you shouldn't, because then it pushes the fabric down and it's not going to allow you that free motion that you're wanting. So see, as I'm pushing it through, I'm just going to go little distances and stop. It's pulling on this side, so it's not even moving under the foot very easily. So maybe if I just don't push down quite so hard.
If you're at home and you're using the machine, you have some of these kind of experiences. Carly, you talked about the pressure, holding, moving, pushing, that those things are all...
I feel like I want to grab the fabric and
move.
pull it through.
That's what I feel like I would
Yeah.
want to do.
I'm trying to do a little pebble here, but something I'm
pebble?
pretty good
It's
at
looking great.
on the frame. But notice, listen to my machine. I'm having a hard time just getting
Speeding
that
up,
sweet
slowing
spot.
it down necessarily. Carla, thank you very much. How are you feeling about this?
It's tough. It's really tough to do. And I'm finding that I'm tensing up because I want it to look so good and so pretty, and it's going to take me a lot of practice, and I promise I will get better as the more I practice.
This is one of the reasons I think that you love a frame.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about the difference between moving fabric under the needle quickly and then moving the pen over the fabric. Now, Carla, here is a slightly different situation.
Yes.
This is the fabric rolled up in the throat.
Right.
What's the management of the fabric at this current stage?
Well, on the one end, you have the fabric pulling this direction. On the other end, you're trying to manipulate using your hand, working in the area, holding all of the fabric in this direction. It gets a little cumbersome and very difficult, and it starts to weigh. See, I broke my wrist a while back, and it really starts to wear on my wrist and on my shoulders. That's where we really feel it. And you get quilter's neck. It's when you're tensing up and you're starting to feel really tense and tight, and you just feel like you need to go to the chiropractor or the massage.
That's when you need a massage to your home.
Right,
So
that's right.
funny. Now, Carla, I also have heard that when you're starting, that some of the ladies will put this that's up over their shoulder. It's all over, depending on how
And they
big.
have contraptions in their house to
It
hold
gets
the
hot,
fabric.
it's heavy.
Yes.
The stress, not only on your hands, your wrists, like you said, your necks and your shoulders. These are some of the things that if you finished a quilt at home, this is why a lot of people just do straight stitching, by the way, because as you're pushing through, it's just easier to roll it and push it all the way through. Right now, you have this extra bit of fabric.
Right. You have to worry about this one too because it's pulling. And you have so much fabric to manage. That's the difficult thing for me.
When you do this on a frame, what gets solved?
It makes it easier for me because I'm moving the machine rather than the fabric through the throat of the machine. And it's holding my fabric in a stable position so that I can just move across it. So I don't have to worry about multitasking and pushing on the foot. Only a couple of things that I have to think about is pushing the foot pedal and how fast I'm moving the machine.
Okay, Carla, this is the signing challenge.
Right.
So Carla, we're gonna have you sign your name.
Okay. All right, here we go, Nathan. Okay, I'm going to come down this way. And notice I'm catching on there, but I'm going to try it. Now I'm going to go back and do my. Oh, go.
You're doing good. I'm gonna encourage you. Way to go, keep it up.
I'm going to go A. It looks like I'm back in grade school.
That's all right.
but you
That's
know
kind of what
what?
we're doing. It's a little bit different. That's looking really good, Carla.
Oh, sorry, my L.
Way to
And
go.
you can tell I'm struggling with
there
this, but
you
I'm going to
go.
go back around. All right, so there we go. Don't make me do my last name. All right, okay.
There you go.
There we go.
Nice. So I'm going to give the audience this challenge. Get an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. I fold that up at the end because this will be a little bit easier for you to hold and move. And I want you to try this because, Carla, what we just did, you signed your name, we pushed and we moved the fabric through, and now we're going to duplicate the same thing in 2 ways. So now hold the pen in your right hand here. That's, well, or is that your writing hand, I guess?
Yes, this
so
is my right
hold it in
hand.
your right hand. Then I'm going to tell you to switch it to the other hand.
Okay.
Okay. So now this is going to become the needle. I want you to go ahead and let me take out the tip here. Go ahead and put it down on the paper.
Right.
Now what you're going to do is take your normal hand. Don't move this, and I want you now to move the paper to sign your name.
And I have to say, it's really tempting.
And again, if you want to put your hand flat, however you want to do this, but go ahead and you're going to sign your name. Now, how are you feeling about this right now?
It's tough.
A lot of times people are like,
Because
it's awkward.
I want to move my hand because I know the direction rather than the paper.
And one of the things that happens is because we're moving our normal hand, it's actually upside down and backwards in order to write our name. So keep on going. One more, get the L there. Okay, that's good. All right, now what I want you to do is pick it up with your normal writing hand, and I just want you to go ahead and sign your name for me. Nice and easy, fast. Go ahead and put it on out there.
I'm not picking it up because that's the way you quilt.
Well,
okay?
just like signing your name at home. So if you're going to be signing your name, let me ask, how much easier was that?
Oh man, that's a walk in the park.
Walk in the park. So if you're at home and you have a sheet of paper, great. If not, I would encourage you, you can do this with your hands. If I'm right-handed, normally I would write this way. So, okay, let's take my left hand, and now I will try to sign my name on my hand. trust me, it is not as easy. A lot of the
And look how jerky it looks. I mean, and look how smooth this one looks. So big difference because I'm trying to stop and start and push the paper under the pins.
pushing, starting, stopping, it's backwards in your mind,
Right.
you know, and so a lot of these things, if you think about it, when we sign our name, it's the same way we've drawn, when we draw our stick figures.
We're gonna
it's
have
the same
thread build up and stuff like that.
build
We
up.
really will.
Same when we color, all these things that you've done as you've grown up is the process that we're gonna introduce you to in just a minute, and we're gonna now do the same challenge, Carla, on the Cutie frame with the same domestic machine.
Nice.
All right, Carla, we have the top carriage from the Cutie frame. I have a machine. I have an amazing sheet of paper. Hopefully you can find one of these from a notebook or something at home. Now, why? Carla, one of the biggest questions we get asked is what?
Will my machine fit?
Will my machine fit? How do I know? And so I thought we'd just quickly answer that. And what I wanted to do is just show you, here's a sheet of paper, and we have a template at graceframe.com
Right.
on the Cutie page, and you can download this. We'll have one that has a print of the size of the opening of the carriage. A lot of people want to know, will my machine fit? What we want to look at is, will it not fall into the hole?
Right.
And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of move it to one side here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to kind of fold this. So I want everybody to see this is the size of the hole. Go ahead and hold that.
All right.
You can take your machine and you can compare it to the feet on your machine. Are the feet wider than the sheet of paper?
And that's these black feet
the
right
black
here.
feet. Yep. Are they
and-
outside of this? Because
right.
this is the hole.
Yeah.
So the answer is yes.
Yes.
See how the feet are wider? What that means is that when the machine goes to sit here, can you see how those feet then are going to sit so that it won't fall into the hole? Now, the width of the machines change as well. I'm gonna take a sheet of paper again.
Okay.
We're gonna go ahead and lay this across, and you'll notice that it's just about the width of a sheet of paper. So I'm gonna hold this up, and I wanna have you put that across the bottom. Do the feet fit inside of that space?
Yes, they do.
Okay, so I'm gonna put this up here. We're gonna take a quick look at this, Carla. Here it is. Again, if your machine is wider on the outside, again, not the feet, it's okay if the machine were to sit off of
Right.
the edge, or if it would extend
And
off
longer
the
this
front,
way.
because the feet are on the carriage. All right, Carla, we have a table surface.
Yeah.
Could it be a kitchen table?
Yes, it could.
Could it be maybe my counter space?
Yes, I quilt on my island.
Okay. So it could be a folding table,
it
one of the
could be.
portable ones, etc. So I have the Cutie frame. The rubber pads are on the entire bottom, which is a really nice surface. The reason we've done this is to keep it so that your table surface stays safe.
Right.
Some of you might have quartz or corian, or you might have formica. This one's real wood, and so
won't
what we don't
scratch
want to
it.
do, we don't want it to scratch. The other thing it does, Carla, is you'll see that once we put it up here, it won't slide around.
Yeah,
So we don't have to worry about
stabilizes.
clamping or holding or putting it together. So that's what we have. So I'm gonna have you kind of come around.
Okay.
From the front, it's really easy. If you're just going to lift this, I'm going to have you just kind
All
of
right,
lift
I'm
it.
just going to show you how I would do it.
Okay, I'm going to make sure that's
And I have to kind of stand like this, but I'm just going to lift it up like this, and it's not heavy at all. Not like my sewing machine. And I'm just going to put it on my table, and I'll show you how stable it's going to be. Man, it's stable.
All right. All right, we're going to talk about this rail part. This is the part that allows the rail that we put through the throat of the machine to kind of be held in place. Carla, there are no tools required. Once this has
No.
been built, you can just do it with your hands. So why don't you go ahead and slide that off for me so everybody
I'm
can
just
see
going to
this.
move it this direction. There's a little arrow that points to the direction that you move it.
I'm going to grab the other side of the frame, and then Carla, if you'll just go ahead and take the rail and just sit it down there for just a second.
Right here.
This is the carriage.
Yeah, the wheels are at an angle, and I just want to position them on the track so that it's going to move side to side.
There we are. This is the upper carriage. Carla, here you go. This one again
All right,
just
so
sits on
again,
top.
the angled wheels just right over the tracks.
Okay, Carla, here's the machine.
This is how I would hold it to put it on. And I make sure that the feet are going to be positioned on the solid part.
All right, now we'll go ahead and just put our machine base clamps in to hold that in place. And so now our machine has been positioned on the carriage, ready to go. Okay, we put the machine on, we put the clamps on. Right now I'm gonna come to the side. We have these easy little clamps that we can just open up. That allows us to raise the side of this frame up, and this goes through the throat of the machine. We're gonna lift it up. There we go. We're gonna bring the machine all the way down to the side. We have quite a bit of clearance. I did this on purpose so that we can see how high this is. I'm just gonna loosen this a little bit. There are letters on the outside. Right now I'm on G. I'm going to move the machine back to the other side. We're gonna check G over here as well. Now we're equal both left and right. Now our rail's in place. What we did is we just took our end caps and popped those back over the rails to put those back in place. We also have over here on the side a little lever that we can open up, and we have this on both the left and the right side. And then this allows us to pull the rail out so that the machine can clear the front. I will set both of these here right at the front number. Locking that back in place keeps that from moving again. If it's open, we can push it in and pull it out. Again, locking that in place allows us to have the right clearance on the machine from front to back. So as
I pushed it all the way to the back of the machine so that I could position the pole.
I do want to just briefly talk about the materials, and this is one thing you like to talk about. We like to put our thumb here. Makes it easy to get these off.
Yes, it does. It really does help.
But with this, I'm going to have you hold that for a minute. I'm going to grab another one here. We have taken all of the parts of this frame and we've made them out of the materials that will make them the most durable for the purpose. These are made out of polycarbonate, which means they're very springy, and the shape is different and unique because on the frame, we actually utilize square rails also, which is very different. So the shape, once we clamp it, allows it to work like a ratchet in order to create tension on the frame. Altogether, we have 7 different clips. Again, we've got 2 sides. That's used when the fabric is wide. The ones in the throat of the machine are a little bit different because they don't ratchet, they stay in place. And then we have the front ones. These ones we use to create tension. Now, Carla, we did put the fabric on,
Right.
and one thing you asked me was, Nathan, I want to show them the handles. What were your thoughts about the adjustment or the handles?
What you're going to do is this little knob right here is how you're going to adjust them. Now you can adjust them out or in, however you want, and then you can position them up or down, whatever's comfortable for you.
I love that, Carla. The other thing as well is this frame. A lot of people want to know, like, there's other things like pantographs, laser work and those
Right.
things. The handles can be that
Oh,
easy
yeah.
method. You can take them out, you can put
Yeah,
them in the
put 'em
back.
in the back.
You can use the table surface. So it has been built the same way a lot of the professional frames. The track system has been, the functionality, the motion is the same. It takes the same technology
Yes.
on that track, and the carriage that we pull from our premium frames
Yes.
are in this one as well. Okay, Carla, you did the free motion with this just sitting down on a table, and now we're gonna do that on the Cutie frame.
Right.
Go ahead, and I'm excited to see some pebbling.
All right, and I'm going to start quilting. But notice how much smoother I am with my pebbles.
Light,
Yes.
easy to move.
Yeah, so now I can just, so much easier. And now all I have to worry about is the speed and find that sweet spot. I'm so much better at this method than I am the other method.
All right, I'm having you pause for just a minute. Why are you feeling more comfortable doing this than what you were doing?
Because I'm able to move the machine just like I would my pencil or my pen across the quilt, like I'm writing. And I have the movements down in my muscle memory because I've drawn pebbles. And so that's what I'm using.
Okay, Carla, the signature challenge. This was done on the machine, free motion, on a table. Carla, I then had you take the
Right.
pen and the paper and we drew. If you were following us, you did the same thing. Hopefully we're finding that there's a lot of emotions.
Right,
When I do
right,
this
right.
with a bunch of quilters, Carla, and I ask them, how did you feel? They're like, it was frustrating. I didn't get it. Oh, it was confusing. Oh, it was awkward. That's a lot of what we have. Now though, we put the same fabric on the frame. You have your domestic machine on here. You have your handles. And I'm gonna say, okay, Carla, I'm gonna now have you free motion, sign your name as we finish the signing challenge now with a frame so we can see what the difference is.
And I'm happy to do so, okay? So anyway, I'm just gonna push down on my foot pedal and give it some power, but now I'm just moving the machine across and I'm just able to just freely do my name so much easier. And I found kind of that sweet spot where I'm just moving it at the right speed where I get a nice little stitch. Let me cut it.
That's beautiful, Carla. If you look at that, that's quite a bit different. Tell me a little bit again, how were you feeling as you were doing this before
I felt
compared to now?
okay. that I was actually even attempting to make a K. And then I really struggled with my A, and my R was okay. But then this last little one, you see my stacked stitches because I wasn't actually moving the fabric fast enough to even make a nice little stitch. So you get all these little stitches on top of each other. So this was much easier and it's much prettier.
I do think that if you've tried the signature challenge at home, if you've done this on a sheet of paper, what we have found is, Carla, what we've grown up doing, the drawing, the coloring with crayons, signing our names, doing those things.
Muscle memory.
Muscle memory, and it's familiar. And so what we find is when people walk up to the frame and they do this and we say, hey, go ahead and put a drawing down or put your name down, that they feel very comfortable. And the reason why is it's something that you've done your entire lifetime.
We practice it a lot.
It's all the same right way. And in fact, if we were to be a little bit extreme, I could even turn this up here and I could use this as that pen or the pencil.
Right, you could.
And I just like to kind of show this because that is what the machine of floating over the fabric does for all the quilters out there.
One thing that a lot of customers are concerned about is how to easily move the fabric from one position to the next as you're quilting. And so notice that I have my quilt on and I'm going to shift it towards the left. So the excess that is hanging on this side will now be moved to the left to reposition to continue quilting to the next one. I want to show you how easy it is. It's not complicated and not hard to do. It's just a little different. And it doesn't take me any more time to reposition the fabric than it would on another style of frame. So I'm just going to unclamp my straps from my quilt clips, all right? I'm going to take this one and this one off. I'm going to leave this one in place and I'm going to undo the front ones as well. You need to make sure that you take this side one off. And again, if you have a little challenge getting it off, use your fingers as leverage. So I'm using my thumbs and I'm just pulling it off, and see how easily that came off. And I'm going to put it back here so I can find it. Once I've undone all my straps, I'm using my fingers to help me pull them off so I'm not putting a lot of pressure on any of my joints. Now the reason I left this one on is it's going to help me move my fabric down and reposition it just real easily to the next. So I'm moving this clip down so it's going to come all the way down over here so I can reposition my fabric, and then let it fall over the edges. Now I'm going to take my clamps that I took off and now I'm just going to position them right onto the right side of it. Hurry and clamp everything, my straps back into place. And this is really so easy to move, and you don't have to worry about your fabric getting dirty or how hard it is going to be on your joints. It's just going to free you up. Now I've done all that, I want to just kind of give it a little tug and put my long clips on. And so as I do, I just kind of pull it forward, and then I'm going to do this other side. Here, notice I pulled it forward, and I'm going to just clamp them down, and I can ratchet them, and now I can finish rolling it up, putting my straps into place, and make sure that you are using your straps to adjust. So this one can be a little tighter to hold it up off of my handles, and that's what I want to do. And I could even pull it a little bit more. Okay, that's going to hold it up really nice. So make sure that you're adjusting your straps to accommodate the bulk. And then the excess elastic, it's made to go in the little clip. So if you'll use it like that, it'll keep your straps from being sewn down underneath your fabric. Okay. See, that didn't take long at all. So let me show you what the bungee clamps do. They're an accessory to help with your side tension on your quilt as you're quilting all the way down. Now, this clamp here, if my fabric reached across and over this pole, I could use it to clamp down. But because my fabric's not reaching, I need something to help stabilize it and hold it into place. That's where the bungee clamps come into play. So what I'm going to do, rather than placing this clamp in the down position, I'm just going to place it in the up position. And I'm going to use my little bungee clips that come with it. And I'm going to position them, I'm going to hold it together and just pull it towards me. So this is going to hold this into place. And now I'm going to take my bungee strap and slide it through the hole on my little clip and pull it all the way. Now I'm going to take my bungee stop and I'm just going to pull it and it's going to stop it into place. So the bungee's not going to go anywhere and I can just hold my fabric in place, giving it the tension that it needs. So it's not going to get in my way. And I'm going to pull it back and position it and see, it's going to give me that extra tension that I need as I'm quilting and allow me so it's not going to get this slack and I have to hold the fabric. The bungee clamps are holding the fabric. Just another way to manage all your quilt layers and make it so much easier for you.
Welcome back. We had such a great time watching all those wonderful videos with Carla and then with Nathan as well with Carla.
You know, Carla makes it look so easy. She really, I think, chooses her words well, her demonstrations. You know, she explains everything as she goes. Like, I could sit and listen and watch Carla all day.
Well, and it makes me feel like I can do that, right?
Yes.
That's a good tip. I could do that. Well, let's jump in with Vicky here as well, joining us back again. Hi,
Just make me
Vicky.
nervous. Someone
Hi.
know me.
Those were such fun videos. So we have some prizes we're going to be giving away. But I just wanted to see if there's any things that you, like tips and tricks about free motion quilting that you wanted to jump in with.
But I want to sew them on.
Oh,
If
if you can doodle anything on paper, you can doodle it on free motion quilting. So you just got to remember continuous line. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I've been doing free motion for about 7 years. So and it's fun to see the different patterns when I deliver a machine for someone and they just jump right in on their negative space and they can draw anything like palm trees, the bugs with little antennas. It's really fun to see the detail that people can get. Yeah, so there's lots of good books out there from the different quilters to show you how to use that continuous line. But if you just take a pen and paper and practice and don't raise your pen or pencil up, you'll figure out a pattern of how to make that continuous line happen through anything you want to quilt.
I've gone to a lot of meetings with Carla, and people will say, like, does she really have a doodle book? And she does. She has a doodle book. So, you know, when you're watching TV, just practice doing that. Like you're saying, that continuous line, practice that.
Yes.
We wanted to, one of the questions that we had was that we want to see if everybody was listening now. This was at the very beginning of the Free Motion Fundamental video. It was, why did Carla say it's good to do designs in different directions? So if you were watching that first video, if you were joining us then, or if you already know the answer, she had talked about doing up and down, and then she was doing L's and E's, and she was doing some diagonals. And so what was the answer for Carla's question in that video? Why would you do different directions, and why is it good to do different directions? So we'll see what kind of questions come through, answers come through, and see if everybody had a chance to watch that video or caught that on that video.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's people are typing. Where they're like, oh no, I was just watching the Cutie video. I didn't necessarily watch that one.
Maybe good answer. If you can't remember, try good answer.
Oh yeah, so Beth then says you can develop the muscle memory. That's a good one. She did talk about that. There was one specific thing about why it's so good to do different designs though.
So Vian says may not be able to turn your quilt. Another good answer.
Another good answer, not the one we're looking for. And she was talking about it when she was doing the diagonal one way and then the diagonal the other way? Why would you do different designs? So maybe I'll have to give some, I picked a hard question this time.
You did, you did. So,
Oh, Gloria says to make our motions more natural. That's a good answer, but not the one I'm looking for.
Dawn says gives the quilt top different dimensional looks. Again, another good answer, but not quite what we're looking for.
Get out of time. These are all great answers. Okay, so I think we've got one that's the actual answer. So I'm going to pull it up here. This is Debbie Long. Looks good and gives movement. And she said, yes, that it gives you movement and it draws your eye to those different sections. She also talked about that you don't have to fill in each section of your quilt, but by doing different directions, it pulls your eyes in. So congratulations, Debbie. You've won our 45 millimeter comfort cutter. We're gonna get that sent out to you. If you will email Allegra at graceframe.com, she's gonna be able to get you that information to get your 45 millimeter comfort cutter. This is part of our True Cut line. We've got some fantastic pieces, just like Vicki was showing earlier. Oh, she's gonna show it again. There it is.
Yes. You know, I love True Cut. I would cut fabric, helping my mom, my aunties, my grandma. I always seemed to be the one, for whatever reason, I had to cut fabric. Maybe it was just to stay out of the way, and I don't know. I never cut my fingers, thankfully. But I just love how the cutters feel, whether it's our comfort cutter, even our straight cutters. Very easy to use. I love the tracking guide system. So if you haven't tried True Cut, I highly recommend trying it.
And I love the comfort cutter because it gives you that nice, easy, ergonomic grip. It doesn't put any pressure on any of your joints. I remember one of our first shows together, Melinda, we were talking about here's how you hold the comfort cutter. We're going to be doing a lot of demonstrations. And I remember you said, well, this is the way I hold it because this is what I'm comfortable with. And we're like, okay. And then about an hour into the show, you came back, you're like, no, really, show me how to hold this.
Yes.
Because my hand kind of is sore now after
Yes.
demonstrating it with all the customers for an hour. So definitely, we're so excited for you to have that comfort cutter. So we have another question from our second video where Nathan and Carla were showing us about the Cutie. Such a great demonstration about the differences of pushing through your machine versus on the frame and how that, can help you with your shoulders and hunching and all that.
And you and I were talking in between segments. You tried push quilting recently, and you absolutely hated it. I think I might be able to do a push quilt, maybe this size.
Yeah.
This is probably what I would have patience for. Anything bigger, I would not do it.
Well, and I love the demonstrating that they did with the paper and signing, right? Like they had Carla sign her name by holding the different one and just moving the paper and then signing it with her actual name. So that, that was a great demonstration of the differences between pushing it through your machine versus having it on a frame.
And we've talked about this, I've talked about it with customers, whether on phone calls, at shows, with dealers. A lot of people, there were creatures of habits, whether it was our mother, our aunties, our grandmother, probably not our grandmother, but somewhere along the lines, we began push quilting, and that's kind of, getting away from the great big huge frames that would take up the entire room, and people would say were easier to do. But man, that fabric management, whether you're trying to push a big quilt through, you're managing fabric on this side, putting it over your shoulder, that's gotta be tough. It's gotta be tough. So our next question, going back to our Cutie video, what comes with the Cutie to help manage your fabric and to be able to quilt easier? So go ahead and put your answer in the comments. We'll give people a few seconds. hopefully
Yeah,
we
think about it. And
Yep,
then
had to
what was
think about
Yeah.
it, yes,
There's
so-
2 specifically. If you get either one, that's what we're looking for. What Carla was showing us, she was moving the fabric around. That will help you with your fabric management.
yes.
The other thing I loved about in that video was when when we showed the differences between signing her name, you could see, just like Vicki was saying, that continuous line. It had that ability to do that. How easy it was for her to do that continuous line signing her name with the frame.
Yes.
Okay, so do we have some
I do
people?
see some answers
Okay.
coming through. And the first correct answer came from Brenda Johnstone.
Oh, let me go up to Brenda's answer here.
I know, like all the answers started coming, and it's like, wait, where did she go? Where did she go?
Oh, let's go. Okay, here we go. The straps and the clips.
Yes. Yes.
You received, now you'll notice on the Cutie, they have not a rounded rail, they have a square rail. So that front clip is your ratchet system as you're helping to tighten the fabric, so you have a nice tension there. And then the side and back clips both had those sections as well.
Yes. And I loved that she showed there's the optional bungee clamps. I was like, wait, which ones are they? But yes, the bungee clamps. And those really just help the sides, you know, keeping your fabric taut, not too tight, not too loose. But again, just a perfect kind of marrying of everything. So your Cutie, your machine, and your quilt. It just helps tie everything together. So ultimately, the end user can quilt easier, faster, not having to worry about managing,
Yeah.
all of their fabric and, just all the pain points that we're creatures of habit. We'll continue doing it because that's how we learned. But the Cutie proves there's an easier, better way.
Yeah. So Brenda, congratulations. You have won the 360 circle cutter. This is a fantastic cutter. It allows you to do circles, half moons. We were, there's our example right there.
Yes.
We had, at one of the shows, I was working with someone, we were demonstrating how you could make an apple quilt out of it. So you're doing like bites out of the apple, you're doing
Okay.
like leaves. It was just so much fun to do all the different things.
Awesome.
So
Well,
congratulations.
last Halloween, we
Oh,
did
yeah.
pumpkins.
We did pumpkins
So,
with it.
yes.
So again, Brenda, if you'll reach out to Allegra@graceframe.com, send her an email and get her your information, and she'll get that free 360 circle cutter set out to you. So it's so great. It goes from 2 inches
Up
all
to
the way
like
to 12
12.
inches. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's so many different applications. It can do hoops, it can do circles, it can half moons. It's so much fun. I love demonstrating that one.
So I think the only limitation in using the circle cutter really is your creativity. So,
Yeah. So thank you everybody for all your questions. We did have one that came up from Cindy Enoch. I think I'm saying that right. And she was asking, what comes with the Cutie? So when you purchase the Cutie, you get the frame, you get the carriage that Nathan and Carla were showing. They were showing how to measure, will my machine fit on here, right? And it had the 4 clamps that go in and out. If your frame is wider than 11.5 inches, then you don't need to use those clamps and you can just take them off. It's a 12-inch wide if you're not using the clamps. Then you also get those bungee straps that help hold your fabric and all the clips. Now, if you're wanting other additional stuff, like Melinda mentioned, you have your bungee clamps that you can purchase. You can get cloth leaders, lasers for pantograph work,
stitch regulation.
which we're
speed
going to do
control.
next. Yeah, we're going to
Yes.
talk about the Sure Stitch Elite. We've got another great video with Carla and Nathan, and they're going to show us all about the Sure Stitch Elite. Now, this allows your machine to have stitch regulation just like the Unique machines, and that you can set your edge warning. So you can say, oh, if I get within an inch of my clips, beep at me so that I don't come too far. Because I do that. I'll be free motioning and then poof,
I
hit
get
the clip.
so focused in what I'm stitching, whatever the design may be, whether I'm in a block, whether I'm, within the whole Cutie range quilting area, I always manage to run into a rail or, go off the side, and it's like, okay, I don't want to keep going back and picking my stitches and fixing it. I need something easier.
Mm-hmm. So we're gonna watch that video first, and then oh wait, I almost forgot. We got to do our giveaway for our travel kit.
Oh, yes.
So, Vicky, you want to help us with our drum roll here for the travel kit?
Okay, yeah.
And so for the travel kit, is this a pre-registered winner?
This is a pre-registered winner. In the travel kit is going to be our 28 millimeter straight cutter, a seam ripper, marking tools, scissors, a cutting mat, a pattern for a pin cushion, postage pin cushion. It's going to be lots of fun, all that fun stuff.
And just a reminder, if you didn't happen to make registration for this event, I'm sure we'll be hosting and participating with a future event. So by all means, make sure to register. If you didn't this time, register next time.
Okay, all right, so let's do that. Drum roll.
Woohoo!
Dale Schmurk, congratulations.
Yes, congratulations, Dale. The travel kit, it's a relatively newer product, but it's phenomenal. The bag is cute, for one thing. Everything in it, it's functional, serves a purpose, and it's just a great, easy, convenient way to hold everything together, be able to, take your project with you almost anywhere you want to go. I probably wouldn't recommend taking all the contents of the travel kit, trying to get through security at the airport. But, if you're going to a Quilt Guild meeting or, spending the weekend at the cabin, it's a great way, again, keeping everything all together. Bring your project with you.
Yeah, congratulations, Dale, again. And like Melinda was saying, if you didn't get a chance to pre-register, but you were looking at any of the items that have been won or we've demonstrated today, please reach out to Vicky at Quilting Farmstead. She'll be happy to help you with any questions about the product, what would work best in your area, and you can reach her by going to quiltingfarmsteadllc.com. She's at 2511 Southeast Wilson Road in Lathrop, Missouri, 816-377-9062. Okay.
Awesome.
So
All right.
now we're gonna do the video on the Sure Stitch Elite. So let me get that going here.
Hi, welcome to the Grace Company. I'm Nathan Erznosnik, and today with me I have our special guest.
Carla Jerome.
Oh, really special guest, Carla. Everybody knows Carla. They love you, Carla. You're an international star.
No, I love them too. So I love y'all, and I appreciate you joining us today.
We do. Thank you for being with us. And this is an exciting little episode that we're going to talk about, the Sure Stitch Elite. Carla, this has been something in the works for a while. Tell me a little bit about when you hear Sure Stitch Elite. We've had our old one, which is, by the way, stitch regulation for your sewing machine.
Right.
What makes you excited about this product?
And that it brings your quilting kind of that little tech savvy feel, and it works so well. So you're not doing multiple things at once. You're not pushing down on your foot pedal. It eliminates that, and you just push the start button and you can move your machine across your quilt and it will regulate the stitches. So it's very easy to use and a lot of fun. It just takes all of that headache away from trying to manage the rhythm of your quilting with your foot pedals. So
wonderful. I think there are several key things. Stick with us because we do want to talk about what makes this so wonderful. We want to talk about, how does this eliminate? I think one of the things you brought up was the headache. I think trying to do multiple things while you're quilting, that can be a little bit of a challenge. I heard the word easy, which I really, really loved as well. I think that's one question. Why or how might this make quilting easier? There's a lot of modes. I heard you also talk about quickly being able just to turn this off or on. And again, there's some other really amazing things we're going to get into as well, along with a couple last things. I know that you have a couple preferences. So stick with us as we go through these and dive into the Sure Stitch Elite. With that, Carla, one of the first questions I want to pose to you is having to do with maybe what some people might consider the headache in trying to quilt either with free motion or even moving our hands and our fabric underneath. And that is consistency in stitches and then trying to work our foot pedal. Why can that be such a challenge for our quilters out there?
Well, it's, you know, when you're pushing on your foot pedal, you kind of, it's like learning to drive the car and you're pushing on the brake and the gas and trying to get that feel for not stopping all of a sudden and not speeding up all at once. And eliminating that just helps you free up your hands and your mind so that you can just move across your quilt without any of those other options to intimidate your quilting. So it just really frees you up to, you know, make beautiful stitches.
I love that. I will say, if you think about it, I ask, you know, the quilters out there, if you try to complete a quilt on your own, right, and so you're pushing this, or again, the same thing, once we kind of move a machine onto a frame, which is a wonderful, easy, it's an easy, light, smooth process. I would say that even my first concern, if I'm using a foot pedal, is how fast am I pushing that foot pedal? For what speed am I moving my hands, right? And maybe really quick, Carla, I'm not sure if this is up to show them how easy this moves and glides on this surface.
And when you're moving it and trying to push on your foot pedal, you'll get those inconsistent stitches. So sometimes they're going to be larger or smaller, and because you're pushing on it and you're trying to regulate your movements, but it's like patting your head, rubbing your stomach. You're trying to do all of that all at once. And yes, you can get in the rhythm, but this just makes it so much easier to free up your hand, free up your foot, and just let you dedicate your line of sight and your thought process to just the quilting and making that beautiful stitch.
Wonderful. So let me just kind of bring two pieces together. Some people will probably wonder, like, how does that really work? So we have our sewing machine.
Right.
Nothing special. This is your standard domestic machine. I would ask you to reach out, look online, or visit a dealer also for compatibility, because that's probably one of the key questions we'll get is, will it work with mine? But what it includes is you have your machine, which is its own piece. It doesn't change. You don't need something else as an add-on to your machine. You would have, for us here at Grace Company, we recommend the frame, because this does work with or in conjunction with the frame and your machine. So those two come together. There is a brain. So there's a smart box that I maybe can call it. We put that on the back of the machine and it's Velcroed on. And on the front handlebars, we have a screen display. And this screen is wonderful because this is really the new piece. This, when you talk about kind of bringing this and making it a little bit more tech savvy, we have our phones in our pockets. We're wanting the next notification. We're engaging with our friends, you know, and I think the question we have is, if we're using our machine, how can we bring some of those simple, quick access pieces, right? Turning them off, turning them on, and we'll talk about preferences.
And the touch screen makes it, just very intuitive.
Comes right in, and that comes right here to the front, right in front of your handlebars. Now, whether you have different frames that Grace Company has that might have an over-the-machine handlebar, this can be mounted there. It can be mounted out front. This is the Cutie frame, by the way, which we love. It's been an exciting frame to have. So again, you have your machine, and then what happens is there's a power cord, so you do plug this into the wall or into your power strip, and then you simply take from this smart box, you take a plug and it plugs into your foot pedal. Now again, we're not going to show all those details, but it's fairly easy to put together because of that.
Oh, very easy to put together, and don't let it intimidate you. It is so simple and easy to use and to set up. It'll blow your mind.
Now with that, maybe Carla, share with us. Okay, so kind of to confirm, it's easy because we have the box, we have our display, we plug it in, and we plug it into the foot pedal port of your machine. And I know that this new one also allows us to use certain features, like I think certain machines might have cutters and we can activate those kind of things. Again, we're not here to go through all the details specific to your machine, but I would recommend, again, look online on our website, give our customer service members a call or call your dealer. They can walk through more. We will show you a lot of the wonderful features here as we move into this, but again, that's the setup. Put your machine on here, plug it in, and we're ready to go. Now, Carla, you mentioned beautiful stitches, and it makes this easier. So now we're not having to, again, pat or tell me or pat and remember. We don't have to worry about two things at one time, foot pedal and motion. Would you mind just doing a quick demonstration by turning this on and then just moving it here a little bit across the surface to show us how smooth and how easy that is?
I would love to, because you know quilting is my thing. I love doing that. So you want to make sure that your presser foot is down, very important, and that we just turn on the start, and you'll see that the needle starts moving up and down. But see, I don't have to push on that foot pedal. I can just glide across and just concentrate on my beautiful stitches. Or my design, I don't know. And that's a special feature.
We hear a little bit of a beeping, and somebody might say, was there a beeping? And we'll talk about that maybe here in just a minute about what we were hearing. So, Carla, really quick again, I noticed you weren't having to hold yourself with your foot pedal. Even if you're sitting down, you're not having to worry about moving. You can just focus on the handles.
Right, and I could just glide across at an even pace. So I wasn't trying to guess, well, I'm pushing on my foot pedal, so I need to speed up my movement. Or I'm slowing down, so I need to slow down my movements. So it just eliminates all that little guesswork. And it really does help make your stitches nice and consistent.
And I like that because really, you know, outside of giving you confidence to begin with, which is I don't have to worry about doing multiple things.
Right.
And we talked about that helping replace the foot pedal, that's kind of the no-brainer process and what everybody loves. Now we're talking stitch regulation, so creating consistent size stitches for you. As you move, we heard the machine speed up a little bit.
Right. As
we slow down, it slowed down. And I liked one of the things you talk about is that it helps make those beautiful stitches.
Right.
And I would ask you, as a quilter, as you've done several different projects, I know you use manual, we use stitch regulation, talking with our quilters, what is it that they will receive, or meaning what kind of confidence does it build by giving them stitch regulation in their system with something like the SureStitch Elite?
Well, it allows you to really, like I said, concentrate on working on making your design beautiful all the way across. So, you know, you don't have to worry about how fast you're moving it because the machine's going to speed up. And you don't have to worry about how slow you're going because you can do it at your pace and at your speed. And that's really how you're going to develop that confidence, knowing that, hey, I can move as slow as I want because I'm just learning a design, or I can speed it up a little bit because I know the design more and it's going to keep my stitches nice and consistent. And that really helps build that confidence. And the more you understand and the more you quilt, the more you love.
I really like that. One of the things that made me think about is I have one unfinished quilt, or Carly, you might have two.
Well, a lot,
You might
okay?
have three. Think about that. If you have your unfinished quilt, one of the things that stops people, usually there's two things that when I think about in general,
Right.
like I'm going to think about my machine and I'm like, wow, managing this fabric is kind of going to be difficult.
Very intimidating.
Yeah, intimidating. I do the straight lines maybe. So think about that. Is that somewhere where you're at? Are you feeling like, wow, I would love to get into them if I maybe had a tool that made it easier? So then we say the frame helps with the motion,
Right.
okay, and it helps manage fabric. To me, the next biggest, and this has just been, you know, I've been in this industry for 15 years, and one of the things that I know when quilters come up to this is first, they're like, oh, I can't do this, right? And it's this
Right.
bit of, I'm not sure how well or what my design is going to be. But I think number one is, do I feel like I can manage the machine? And then really, it's the stitching
Right.
of the machine. And so the thing I like to kind of have you think about is, if somebody now had an ability to then stitch regulate their machine, how do you feel that, what kind of position do you feel that puts them in as a quilter now? Is there an empowerment? Is there, we kind of talked about that, but do you feel like someone would now be able to get through more quilts in less time? Like what are some of the
absolutely.
advantages of then stitch regulating your machine?
Yeah, it does. It just frees you up to concentrate and work through your quilts that much faster because you're eliminating some of the processes that, you know, really are inhibiting your way of quilting, and it does free you up. So you can crank through the quilts as fast or as slow as you want at your pace and enjoy the process because it is freeing.
I love that, or as detailed
Right,
or not as
yes.
detailed, right? And I know there's a lot of other things like ruler work is another one,
absolutely, yeah.
using lasers, and I feel like, again, you're adding another process. So if we don't have to worry about the machine
Right.
and we can turn it on and then it regulates, it's just, again, it gives you that like literally immediate confidence.
Yes.
Now, I remember you worked with one of our employees here, I want to say it was last fall, and we did some things with this kind of a setup, and we did stitch regulation on it, and it was LJ, and I remember her starting, and I'm remembering the video, she kind of didn't want to stop, right?
No, she really enjoyed it, and it does. It brings that enjoyment back to quilting and just takes away those little challenges that you face. And what's not to love? It just really is a lot of fun.
Wonderful, thank you, Carla. So again, if you're here and you're watching and we're talking again about the SureStitch Elite, which is a brand new stitch regulator here by the Grace Company. We do have our original Sure Stitch.
Yeah.
Still a wonderful product. We are going to keep that one. This one's the next level. I think you talked about a little more technologically advanced. It's a little bit more, you know, it has these new features that we'll talk about.
It does have some great new features, but the old one, God, it's kind of like that mother figure that, you know, it's refined this little baby, and this baby's this new generation of quilting, and it brings that in there. And I, you know, when we first introduced the Sure Stitch, I didn't understand it. And now that I understand how it works, I just love it. And it's so important to help you with your quilting. So
wonderful. So let's talk about some of these wonderful features.
Okay.
One of those things I think is how easy it is to access or to choose specific options. And there are a few modes. So maybe if you'll just talk to our audience, what are some of the modes that it has? And maybe you can just verbally tell us why might you use one of those modes differently. So it does have a few different modes than our old one, our current original Sure Stitch as the Elite. And so tell us a little bit about that.
So it gives you a manual mode and a stitch regulated mode. And you say, well, why would you ever want to choose a manual mode? Well, you never know. You never know when it calls for a manual mode. When you move to a long arm, you get 3 different modes. So this just kind of brings it up a step. So
maybe if I can, so one of the things I just heard you say, and I love this is a way, kind of a way to elevate your machine closer to that long arm function. So also, I know if there's manual and then there's the regulated, maybe we can take a quick shot at the screen, and maybe you can show us, because I believe there's some presets or there's some other functions with that.
Right here, you see the presets. You have 2 SPIs and 5 and 8. And so those are the machine speed settings. So you can, you know, use the presets, or you can set it by yourself using the plus or the minus. So it's just very easy, and you just have to touch the screen to raise it up or lower it down.
Now, I believe in manual we have that same option where we can do a couple presets. So like if I want the machine to sew at 20%, we can just quickly go to the 20% or... And
you have a setting where you can, you know, regulate how fast the needle is moving up and down, which is really nice, because on particular stitches, it may call for a little tighter stitch, so you may want it to go up and down a little faster, or a little slower if you want it separated. So
yeah, I like to talk about, if I go and like talk about doing a grape, or I need to go fill a space, right? Instead of having to move our machine around, we can let that machine work at that speed to fill it in, which really helps. Oh, wonderful. Also, outside of that, a couple other things. We talk about the touchscreen. Now, because we have this separate screen, we're able to bring some other things. One of those is I did hear it beeping when you started moving the machine. And why would it beep at you? Our old one didn't beep. It did have a screen, a little LED that showed you. This one has, I think, both screen that's showing us, and then it has an audible sound. What are those sounds telling us when we hear that?
There are a couple different sounds. One is called the overspeed. And with any machine, you can move the machine faster than it can actually sew. And then it will beep at you, and that is what we call the overspeed, so that you can really help to make your stitches nice and regulated by listening and working with the Sure Stitch Elite. So that will really help. Then, a great new feature. Do you want to introduce that?
Well, I know this is really exciting.
It's very exciting.
That, you know, there are some challenges that exist in general wall quilting. When a quilter walks up and they decide to put their hands on this, one of the first things we always have a customer do, and let me go ahead and let me just quickly cut this here. In fact, maybe you hit the cutter right there. There we go. So one of the things they do is they're like, oh, this is really, really great. And they start moving down, and all of a sudden, because we have the machine, is we run out of space. Now, that's not a problem. One of the great things about a frame like this is you can still work within the space, and the fabric actually helps stay out of the way. So you actually end up with a little bit more finished quilting space on a frame like this than without it. But then you move to the back. So this is our workspace. But what we find is that customers end up not quite knowing. So I have taught people, hey, take a piece of thread, or you might say put some tape across. But we have a feature, Carla. And that feature that actually is taking some technology that you probably will be familiar with out there with cars and other things, is it does create a barrier. And this is an invisible barrier that we call edge warning. And so why don't you talk a little bit about what edge warning is meant to do, and then let's go ahead and walk through the process to engage it on this. And then let's show people how that works.
Edge warning is to keep you away from the edge and bumping into it and messing up your design. And it came about when a cute little lady came to me at a show, and she says, man, why didn't you tell me I was going to keep bumping into the back of my machine? I didn't have that much quilting area. She was really frustrated with me. And I tried to warn her, but then we came back, and then all of a sudden we were talking, and I thought, well, why can't we add an edge warning to beep at us and let us know that we're getting close to that edge so we don't mess up that design and it doesn't become frustrating for the customers? Well, lo and behold, we have.
So let's talk about what that is really quick. So edge warning, what is
Right.
edge warning? This is new, exclusive to Grace Company products. We have
Right.
this right now in the SureStitch Elite. And again, I like this is where the technology can come out,
Yes.
right? We can program features and functions. So right now, as this machine moves and the customer's like, oh, I'm bumping into the rail, I'm
Right.
bumping into my machine, I wish the system could warn me that I'm getting closer. So think about your car. If you ever backed up and you hear, or you ever get close and your car starts going beep, beep, beep,
Right.
beep, 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 right? So there's this caution warning that has been built in, and you can set that space specific to your machine and the area that it's working in, so that if you start to get close, you're going to hear an audible, and we'll see a visual notation on the screen going, hey, you're getting closer. So why don't you go ahead and walk us through the quick process. Let's define the space, and then I would love to hear and see this in action.
So it's right up here. You see this little wheel? That is your settings screen.
setting
so
button?
you're just gonna
Okay.
just tap on that, and you'll notice that you have all these different settings. You have display settings, machine settings, and we're going to tap on the tool settings right here.
Okay.
And that's going to give us some cool new features on this. You see a measure tool.
Yeah, so right here, other things we'll talk about in a minute, but measure,
and a
what else?
calculator and
Calculator.
edge warning. I'm going to tap on that. So I'm just going to move my machine to the upper left. Notice that I have the upper left
Okay, so
here.
it says upper left on the
Right.
screen, so you're going to move up to the upper left edge of your
Yes.
quilt space.
Right, and
Okay.
that's as far as I can go. And I'm going
Okay.
to tap right here on the upper left. So just going to tap on that, and I've set that. So I'm just going to move down here to my lower right.
Okay, so again, it asked you to go to the upper left, so we went to the upper edge of our quilt space. Now we're going to go down to the bottom right.
And I'm going to tap on that. And now I can set the setting a 1/2 inch or 1 inch for my warning.
So again, what this means is if the machine is getting close, we can tell it how far before the machine gets to that
Right.
space that it starts to warn us. Okay,
And I'm just
wonderful.
going to tap on the 1/2, and then we'll just get back into our main screen, and we're back here, and we'll just turn it on.
So she's quilting, and as she starts to get, the machine gets closer and closer, we can hear, and you can see when you get close, it starts to get a little bit more consistent and louder. So again, this is amazing. This has never been done, by the way, not on a machine and not in stitch regulations. So
It's very cool.
this is the part when I do this and people, you get the flat spots or you
right.
run out of space, and this is audibly now,
Right.
now telling us, by the way, you're getting close, and it doesn't mean you're there
Right.
because it starts to get a little bit, the beats
Right.
get closer together, right? As it
And
gets,
you can have a bigger gap and set the 1 inch rather than the 1/2 inch. It's just all up to you, and maybe on how big your design is, maybe that's going to be your setting. So yeah, it's very cool, and it's a lot of fun, and boy, is it going to relieve that headache of bumping into the back or the front of your machine and pushing it forward and hitting your needle and having your needle come out. Oh boy, all those headaches that I have done, you will not miss at all.
wonderful. And with that, the great thing, Carla, is it works from the front to the back of the frame, and it works left to right.
Right.
On a hoop frame especially, think if this was completely covered, you can't see, so it also gives you that audible warning when you're
Right.
getting close to your side. So I will tell you, that's one of the amazing patented features that we actually have in this product in the SureStitch Elite, is an ability for it to manage that. So we're really excited. A couple last things as we kind of conclude here, Carla, with our guests that are joining us. It's really wonderful. It does come and you can set your preferences, but more importantly, it's all complete in the box. So I
Right.
think cords are included, power
Right.
supply, the main smart box, and the display and those cables for you to be able to get set up with it. And so Carla, as we kind of go through this, when I was talking to you here the other day, I really like a couple of these pieces, and maybe if I can go through those and then have you conclude with our quilters and why we would encourage them to go out and take a look at the SureStitch Elite. I know we started off again with the no foot pedal, right?
Right.
Making it easier so we're not having to think about doing multiple processes at the same time. The other thing, which is really more important than even that, is the quality of your stitch.
Right.
And the stitch regulation now that's being added to it. You mentioned easy.
Yes.
Right? So
Very
it was easy for us to use, easy to set up, easier to use with your system. I think we talked about, and I love the demonstration, that there are different modes. and also preferences that we have with that, so you can choose kind of what works best for you,
Yes.
right? What works best for your designs. We talked about that amazing edge warning.
Yes.
That is pretty cool, by the way. That's amazing that it can give you your space and
Yes.
keep you within that space. Not only does it regulate it, but now it helps audibly and visually tell you where you're at, ultimately helping you become, I think,
Right.
a better quilter with that.
Absolutely.
So what would be any of the last words you would share with our quilters as they're watching this and able to see this amazing Sure Stitch Elite?
Oh, it's just really exciting to be able to bring technology that you inspired, because this was inspired by a sweet quilter. And you know, you are what keeps us going. You quilters out there, and you do inspire us so much, and we appreciate it. And so we're looking forward to all your great ideas and thoughts, and you'll love the new Sure Stitch Elite. It's built-in capabilities. It will just make you and give you the confidence to become a better quilter.
Wonderful. My last call to action is, again, if you think about you
Yeah.
want a no-hassle quilting experience, you want better, prettier stitches, there's an easy, simple way that gives you your personal preferences. Go take a look, find a dealer, call us at our 1-800-264-0644 to log on to graceframe.com. Again, at the end, I'll just remind you, we'd love for you to leave a comment if you have questions or want to comment below. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, follow us on our Instagram and look at our website. And with it again, thank you very much from Nathan Erznosnik and
Carla Jerome.
with the Grace Company.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Oh my gosh.
Wasn't that a great? I learned, like,
I use the Sure Stitch
I do.
all the time, but
I
I learned
do.
so much stuff.
yes, it's amazing. Technology is amazing.
I loved all the comments too. Kimberly says, great tutorial, thanks for the tips. Let's see, Dee Dee Haskell says, fantastic demonstration today, love the step-by-step instructions. I agree. Every video we've had today have just been wonderful as we've just gone through like how to do free motion quilting, whether you're using a long arm or you're using your mid arm or a domestic machine push quilting, all those different things, right? We're just always trying to have products that help you do your quilting better, faster, easier, so you can just get those quilts in the hands of the people that you love.
Yes, you know, and I think the biggest takeaway, you said 3 words: better, faster, and easier.
Yeah.
My biggest takeaway is easier.
It's easier, yeah.
There is an easy button. It does exist.
It exists. It's so much, it's better to have, right? We're not saying that you have to get all of it all at once. You can do it in increments and get going, right? Like that's what I love about the Cutie frame, right? You can start with your domestic machine. You're comfortable with that, get going. Then when you're ready for the Kinique, you can get either the 16 or the 19 and move up. And then when you're ready for a bigger frame,
Yes.
those will transfer. So there's just so many wonderful products that you can easily grow as you're going along your quilting journey. You're just able to get what item works with you best.
Yes, for that time.
Yeah.
You know, because situations may change and
Spaces,
Yep.
budgets, everything like that.
yes. So, Jana, so many, again, great demonstration. I love the Sure Stitch. If I'm quilting with one of our domestic machines, hands down, it has to have the Sure Stitch. We're always going to be our own worst critic.
It's true.
When I look at stitches that I do with a domestic machine without regulation, I have itty bitty short stitches. I have long
Well, it
stitches.
depends on how you're
I'm like,
moving,
what
yeah.
was I doing? What was I thinking? what happened? But the Sure Stitch, it just makes quilting just a breeze. It's so easy. It doesn't matter how fast or how slow you're moving the carriage in the machine. Your stitches uniform in size. And, you know, where we're our own worst critic, you know, that's one less thing we're going to criticize ourselves about. And it can be more focused on letting our creative juices come out.
Yeah.
So I love it.
So we have one last pre-registration gift to do, and we also want to have one question for those who stuck around all this time. Thank you so much.
Yes.
We have a question about the video. So we can do another prize. So we're going to do another True Cut item. This one is going to be our Quilters Combo. So this is our 6.5 by 24.5 inch ruler, our 45 millimeter comfort cutter, as well as a package of True Grips. Now the True Grips,
All in a cute bag.
all in a cute bag that you can
Have to
carry
say.
around with you, right?
Yes.
So the True Grips you can put on the ruler to help keep it set. You can also put the True Grips in other places, anywhere you don't want something to move. So if you have, this is a tip Carla told me one time, if you have your foot pedal and you're sitting in a place that doesn't have, you know, carpeting or something, and it's kind of moving along, you can put True Grips on there and it'll stay in place, so it's not constantly sliding away from you, and then you have to kick it back with your foot and bring it back to where you are. So that's going to be the prize. So you want to tell them the question of the video?
Yes. So again, Sure Stitch Elite. Again, it works with our domestic machine. What are some of the features that the Sure Stitch Elite will offer you that is available on our Cutie machines?
Oh, that's a very good question.
Yeah, let's see who is paying attention.
I think people had said that in some of the comments already. So
Yes,
yeah, I
yes.
think they're ready to make that go. So let's see which is, again, that's what features on the Sure Stitch Elite are also features on the Cutie. Now, is there a specific number we're looking for? Or like, do they just have to say one of them?
Let's say, give us 2 features.
2 features, okay.
2 features.
2 of the features, because I can think of at least 3, so you might
Yes.
have more. Okay.
Yes. So I see some fantastic answers. So I see one part of the answer, but if you've already commented with your answer, make sure to come back,
come back and do
with
the 2?
2 items. All right.
Wow, okay. I think I see one. Are we looking at the same person that's given us? Okay, let's do this one right here.
Yes.
Okay.
Awesome.
The first one with all the answers. So stitch regulation, edge warning, and speed control. The other one I was thinking about was that it was a touch screen, that you didn't have to push a button for that.
Yep.
You can just, as you're holding the handlebars, you can just touch that and go from there. So congratulations, Barbara. Or
No, Brenda.
Brenda, oh. I'm
We
looking
had
in the
2
wrong-
Brendas. Wow,
have.
2 Brendas today. Congratulations.
Congratulations, yes. So again, reach out to Allegra at graceframe.com. She will help get you that Quilters Combo, which is going to be the 45 millimeter comfort cutter, the 6.5 by 24.5 inch ruler, and the True Grips in that wonderful bag. It's going to get you just started. And again, if anybody has not had a chance to be part of the pre-registration, or if you, we're going to bring Vicki back on now, and we can have her talk about what the best way to get a hold of you. I mean, we've been having this come up on the screen for us here. But Vicki, tell them how they can get a hold of you and for everything like that.
Okay, we do have a Facebook page and a website. So it's Quilting Farmstead LLC.com. And on that website, there's all kinds of information of things that if services and sales products that we have. It's an online store as well. Not everything can be shipped from there. The big bulky things can't be, but at least you'll know what's in store here and what we normally carry and what we can order. And
they can
so
come
we're
and try out the Cutie, right? And the
yes,
other
yes.
machines and
I
everything
always
like
have
that.
2 machines available, at least 2 machines to try out. And we have also, I'm on Google Maps because I am a little bit harder to find. I'm not downtown Lathrop like a lot of people think I would be. I'm out in a rural setting. So Google Maps will pinpoint it right to the driveway of the quilt shop. And so that's a good way. But it's 2511 Southeast Wilson Road. Lathrop is Lathrop, Missouri, home of the mules. And it's just a little ways north of Kansas City on I-35, about 30 minutes from the Kansas City.
Awesome.
So we're
awesome.
social presence as well as you can come by. I'm open a lot, even on some weekends. So travelers that want to come by, can, but always check the website calendar and the Google Maps first, just because I do take about every other weekend off. So
Perfect.
we'd love to
Awesome.
have you,
I wish
though.
I had that. Well, I guess I kind of do have every weekend off, but
Yeah.
I wish I could just quilt. Like being in it, well, I guess I can do that too.
I don't ever get to cook for myself, though. I'm always cooking for other
Yeah, you want
people.
to cook
So
for
I
yourself.
sell them.
Yeah.
I sell them a machine, and then they can help me quilt.
Yes, yes.
And
It's
if you're in the
amazing.
area, we're gonna have a booth at the KC Regional Quilt Festival in this June.
Oh,
It's
excellent.
the,
So that'd be a great
few
place for
days
everybody to come
before
see you.
Father's Day. Yeah. So, yep, we will have 3 machines of 3 different of the Grace frames there for you to try out. Even the QCT software, we'll have it
Oh,
at the festival.
excellent.
Awesome.
So if you have any questions and you're in the area, come by, see us.
That'd be perfect. Yay.
Yes.
So definitely, thank you, Vicki, so much for having us come be a part of your digital event today and letting us come and share our products and with your customers and everyone for joining us. We really appreciate it. We have one
Yes.
last giveaway. It's the
the big
Cutie.
one,
It's the
right?
big one, the Cutie
the big
bundle.
one.
Let me pull it up here for everybody so they remember what we're going to be giving away. So this is the Cutie. It includes the 4-pack of bungees. So those bungees that don't normally come with it are going to be included in this Cutie bundle. And we're doing an 8-pack of finesse thread. So everything that you need to get started on with your domestic machine, then you can just put it right with that Cutie and get going with that. So everything that you're going to need, you'll just be all set, right?
Yeah, you just need your machine and your quilt.
And your quilt.
That's all.
Just get going. Okay, so last drum roll of the day.
Morgan Henderson, congratulations.
Congratulations, Morgan. Again, Allegra will be reaching out to you. And again, for everybody that won Plinko, our giveaway prizes today, reach out to Allegra at graceframe.com with your address so she can get it sent out. And if you have any questions about quilting or products or fabric, call, go on their website, stop by and talk with Vicki over at Quilting Farmstead. So,
And I do want to remind everybody, if you go visit the store, if they don't have the product there for you to take, they'll still send us our order. We'll drop ship direct to you, or we're back to the store for easy pickup. So again, Vicki can certainly take care of all of your needs, and make sure you're squared away with, in my opinion, the best tools in the industry.
So thanks so much, everybody. Thank you, Vicki.
Bye.
We will see you either at the event in June or at the next event.
Yes.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.